President Biden's nonstop appeasement of Iran continues to be an embarrassment for America. The radical regime has been firing off threat after threat to Israel. They might have orchestrated the Hamas terror attack on Israel. And Iran-backed Hezbollah says it's thousands of times stronger than before. And the Pentagon says a U.S. warship shot down 3 missiles launched from Yemen, which is where Iran funds a proxy terror group. Despite all of that, Biden didn't mention Iran during his address in Israel. Republican senators say his weakness needs to end now.
It is perplexing why this administration refuses to issue a formal decision to freeze the $6 billion.
Biden's ransom payment made to the Iranians shows you where his true colors are.
Joe Biden is the most pro-Iranian president we've ever had.
The great Satan is not the United States or Israel, it's Iran.
I agree.
But going soft on Iran has been part of the Democratic playbook going back decades. Our very own Greg Gutfeld laying out the history.
The truth is, the Middle East always exposes the naivete of past Democratic presidents. Back in '79, President Jimmy Carter took American credibility into Bud Light territory when Iran seized 52 American diplomats. It took over a year for America to respond, which we finally did by electing Ronald Reagan. Barack Obama was convinced he could make a difference. He thought Iran could be brought around from a fascist theocracy to a friendly modern nation if we could just get that pesky nuclear deal done. Biden offers $6 billion to Iran in exchange for American hostages. That Hamas seizes more American hostages right afterward. Like stairs, speed bumps, and sandbags, Biden never saw it coming.
Greg, I know you're not into partisan politics,
No,
so let me put it to you this way. We're in an election season. Do you think the Republican Party or Donald Trump or any of these guys has made the connection from Joe Biden's policies to what we've seen happen in Israel?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
I'm sorry, you're
I was lost in those blue eyes.
Affixed, right?
Well, I mean, we talk about the $6 billion, but that's nothing compared to the money that Iran is making now under Joe's watch. That's the real gravy train. They're clearly way better off and far richer now with Joe compared to Trump, who tried to bleed him dry, which is the only language they understand. Couple that with the fact that we're committing energy suicide here, and we're now going to be at the mercy of mullahs and Mercedes. When it comes to Iran, the letters U.S. stands for you suckers. We think we can buy their friendship, but they just take the money. It's just like BLM. They swindle you and you get nothing for it.
Judge, the president, do you expect him to mention Iran tonight, or is he just going to ignore it like he does the border?
I don't know what he's going to do. You know what I think he should do. But, here's the thing. Iran is at war through proxies with Israel and with the United States. The Biden administration is funding the #1 sponsor of terrorism in the world. It is that simple. All right. And we keep talking about the $6 billion and we ought to claw it back, or I keep talking about it anyway. That's the least of it. They've made at least $50 billion since Biden became president. They're selling their oil on the world market, and Biden says we're imposing sanctions. Great, Joe, but you're not enforcing the sanctions. And the big news was they identified 11 people that they wanted to put some sanctions on. And just last month, Biden and Yellen gave Iran $3.5 billion as part of an international monetary fund. That was last month. So let's not kid each other. This is appeasement that has gotten us here. Appeasement since '79. The bottom line is Joe Biden is afraid of Iran. He's so afraid of them, he's in a corner afraid to even mention their name. And if you don't enforce sanctions, they're high-fiving each other, saying, you know what, they're wusses out there. That's what I meant to say.
Jessica, what is the Biden policy on Iran?
The Biden policy on Iran is, first, that it would be better if we had the Iran nuclear deal back in place, which all of our allies, entirety of the West, is supportive of, to make sure that we could have the international atomic
So why can't they
energy.
get it done?
Well, first of all, that you would be very mad
No, but
if
like
that
you're
happened.
saying, everybody wants it. Biden wants it. The Europeans
Well, they have
want
to
it.
renegotiate the terms of it now, because we pulled out in 2018. That's what Donald Trump did.
Right.
He said this isn't getting us anywhere, even though we were able to actually go in and see what was going on in the enrichment facilities, and he opted for sanctions
Right.
instead.
So the Iranians don't want it, you're saying?
Right, that was the point. that it's bad for them, so they wouldn't want it. And they agreed because there was relaxing of other sanctions. So it was a trade-off for them that they thought was in their best interest.
I don't think that's the way it went down.
It is the way that it went down.
What about Fordo? What about the fact that they wouldn't allow us to even monitor what they were doing?
They let in
they double
over
talk.
8 visits.
All right, but Iran is stronger than ever now, Jessica. They're richer than ever. They're stronger than ever, and they weren't like that under Donald Trump. Well, that's a fact.
Donald Trump of Hezbollah is very smart. I liked how you pushed on that this weekend, Shannon.
I think it was Donald Trump as Soleimani doesn't even breathe anymore.
Okay, and Bibi let us down was also one of his key quotes.
You know, it's about what he did.
Israel was never attacked like this under Donald Trump.
Jessica. I love this
game.
Stop
worrying about the tweets.
He said it out of his mouth.
Oh, good.
It was live. So I thought that General Pat Ryan, who is the Pentagon spokesperson, was really good today.
I like him.
All right, end the show. Okay, and he said something that I thought was really important, especially for the media to hear, because they're coming at him saying, well, I read this and I've seen this. And he said, don't conflate media reports with the level of information that we have. And there's this assumption, and I get it, that we're paid to do this, right? We show up to work and we get the topic. So this is what we're going to talk about, and we have to prepare ourselves. But we will never know as much as the IDF knows. We will never know as much as the U.S. intelligence agencies know. And he reiterated again that they are not in a place to say that Iran was directly behind this. Complicit, yes. A huge problem, yes. But not behind this. And I think that people need to start paying attention to that instead of just...
You don't think Iran was behind this?
I think they were certainly complicit,
well,
but why
I don't think we can take anything of what the intelligence community says at their word.
Well, I mean, listen, and even if you don't want to, and there's reporting out there that they were directly involved, meetings in Beirut and all kinds of things in planning this, but even if you don't want to buy that, you have to admit that streams of aid and other, things have flowed into Iran, who gives $100 million a year
to Hezbollah,
to known terrorist groups. But, one of the analyses about this is talking about the fact that we have lifted sanctions, the Biden administration has, in exchange for the promise that they're not going to enrich weapons-grade uranium. And I don't know, most Americans are a little skeptical about believing Iranians about that. But the tune of, they were capped at 775,000 barrels a day of Iranian oil going to China. It's now, by some estimates, up to 2.2 million a day. And that equates to about $25 billion into their coffers. So by one estimate, this administration has done a lot to make sure that they are financially more stable.
Yeah. The Iranians and the cartels, those are the only two people thriving under Bidenomics, Jessica.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.